The fire element is just really pointing your attention into desire. Desire's fire and attention's fire. So you're just putting fire on fire, and it just incinerates anything that's not pure. It's like making ghee. Like what gets separated is the stuff that's not ghee. So there's a function to doubt, and there's a function to the skeptic. You just want to make sure that like you use those things functionally. And the same thing's true of regret. You don't want to dwell in regret, but boy, you want to mine it. There's gold, right? There's just as much gold in regret as there is in longing. And so when people don't mine their regret, they lose the gold. They're just throwing it away. And I find there's just so much misunderstanding, particularly in the New Age community, around these emotions and around ambition in general.
That's a really helpful perspective. Thank you.
Yeah, where's it coming up for you?
I'm starting a little business, and it just so often I notice it like, you know, it's not gonna be good enough, or don't tell people because they'll roll their eyes, or, you know, you've tried stuff before, just that constant, like,
okay,
maybe you shouldn't, maybe you shouldn't.
Yeah. Right. So let's just draw this one out then. So here's your idea. And there's, well, I'm just going to call them the haters. Okay. And so the haters what do haters have to do? This is kind of got back to how stones work. There's Howland said, haters by definition have to do what? What do they have to do by definition?
They gotta hate.
They gotta hate. They gotta hate on it. Now, this is the same thing about the skeptic. What does the skeptic have to do by definition?
Be skeptic. Question.
It has to be skeptical. It's its function. What does doubt have to do?
Doubt.
It has to doubt. So it has to make you doubtful. So once we get, like, they're just functions. They're not the end all be all. They're functions. Now, where do they exist in relationship to the idea? Well, a good idea is really worth protecting. And so when you protect it this becomes like a force field. There's a lot of good work on this that comes from like Berkeley Psychic Institute that they've done for the last, 50 plus years. They were at the forefront of it though 50 years ago. And they're basically like, awakened to auras, essentially, that's been going on for thousands of years in yoga. But it's like, you get to use the capacity of your awareness to create force fields. So you might want to use that, right? It's a function. Every function's useful. Use it in the way that it's meant to be used. So what they have discovered is like the way it's meant to be used is insulation and protection of something that can actually increase glow, right? So if you have a force field around the idea, what happens is it starts to go both directions. So light goes out and then light comes back. Light goes out, light comes back. What happens to the idea? Does it get stronger or weaker?
Stronger.
That's right. Stronger, right? So then the energy inside the force field gets filled more and more with the light. It gets stronger. So that can't happen if you're like, I have this really great idea. I'm going to tell the hater and the skeptics and the doubters. Because then what happens to the energy? Can these people bounce energy back? Not so much. What they can do, though, is actually dissipate it. They're really good at dissipating energy. And I mean, one of the ways is even disinterest. There's the disinterested. There's people that have given up on life. So you have the victims, you have the disinterested. That's kind of the disinterested, like that's kind of happened with me with HealerCon. I'm like, maybe I'm not that interested in that. So you've got to decide like who are the people. This is why I create dynamic groups in my courses, right? Is because it's like you've got to pay, because when you pay attention. When you pay to be with certain people, you pay a lot more attention to what they say and how they act and what the rules are for inside this becomes like a power center, right? And so then this energy can build a lot more. So it's you have a level of that happening in this group. Just know that there's increased levels of these things. That all of this it's kind of like there's just, it's a staircase, that there's just different levels of, you could say, aptitude, investment, and experience. So at some point, it's helpful. Like I like to hang out with people that are, more and more, I'll pay a lot more, or I'll do certain things to hang out more with people that are higher on the rungs of aptitude, investment, and experience. Just because it's easier, better, faster, more fun. Those reasons. Just a few. And there's usually a gap in there between how people invest. So people haven't been taught that like the best thing that you can do is invest your attention. Attention, where does like attention and time differentiate? That's a just I think a fantastic philosophical discussion. But it's like they're definitely running parallel tracks, right? So how you invest your time and how you invest your attention matters more and more and more. Now, how you're investing your attention at higher levels has everything to do with who you're hanging out with and who you're talking to, and how those people can advise you based on, their aptitude, their investments of energy and time and attention, and their experience that they've gained from that. So I would say the more serious you are about your business, the more serious you are about investing, and having someone that knows the business model. That's essential. Like right now with HealerCon, just to go back to that, like I'm looking at the business model of events, but I kind of want to turn it upside down. So I want to pull from outside communities. There's a phenomenal book called Strategic Intuition that really teaches how to do this. It came out of Columbia Business School a long time. It's not a new book. It's like 10 years old. It's like, and it's not like the stuff I read. Sometimes people are like, that was really boring. Like, I'll use it to sleep then, or whatever. But it really shows how it's basically by pulling a mix of different things from different industries and different people's experience that have just killed it in certain areas or done something really well in a certain way, that you want to take this piece from that and this piece from that and that piece from that, and then bring that together. That's where you get innovation, right? So having people that have experience, that know how to do all those pieces, instead of seeing from the outside and saying like, oh, I see how they're doing it. Bullshit. You have no idea how they're doing it. And that's what I keep finding time and again. It's like, I'm willing to pay for them to tell me how they're doing it, rather than trying to like think I can see that by the outcome of what's being produced from them doing something well. That's very scalable, like what I just said right there. Like that's when you start to want to make impact on bigger levels. You get really aware of who is in that circle around the light bulb. And then it gets super fun because there's phenomenal people on this planet Earth here with us, and it's fun to collaborate.